Assalamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Hudayfa Parker. This will be my first English video on YouTube. As you guys know, I usually upload videos in Arabic, but today it's going to be a little different because I want this message to be widespread and not only just to my Muslim audience, but also to Muslim and non-Muslim audiences that are English speakers. As you guys know, we are in Ramadan. I think today is the 13th or the 14th. I'm not sure. But, I just wanted to come on here and give you guys some advice, which is called a nasiha in Arabic. I really just wanted to have a reminder for my believers and non-believers. The first thing I want to say is Allahumma salli wa sallim ala Muhammad, and that is sending blessings upon our prophet, last and final prophet, which is Prophet Muhammad alayhi salam. And I really just want to remind people that this world that we live in, man, is super materialistic and is super temporary. And this is my reminder to both parties. And I really want the people that are non-believers to really ponder about life and think about how short it is. 70 years, 60 years, 50 years, 10 years, 20 years. You only live on this earth and then you pass away. Like, do you really deep down believe that there is nothing after this life? Do you really deep down believe that we were just here by accident and everything just happened by accident? Everything just popped into existence by accident. The fact that we're the only, besides the jinn, we're the only intelligent beings on this earth. The fact that we have, knowledge faculties, we have logic, we have rationale, we have sound judgment. Like, do we really have those qualities for no reason when there's obviously a lot more different species besides us that don't have those faculties? What made us so special that, somehow we got those faculties? What made us be the top of the food chain? Like, do you really think that's by chance? I really want people to ponder on that. And if you come to the conclusion that it can't be by accident and there has to be something that caused everything, and that's just the law of everything. Everything has a cause. And, except for the uncaused cause, it all comes down to something that caused everything. And if you really ponder about that, about what I just said, and you really think about it, it's true, because you can't have an infinite amount of caused things, because infinity doesn't exist. And, not in the way that we understand it. There would have to be an infinite to cause finite, right? So the infinite would have to be the first cause to cause everything else. Because as we know, everything has a beginning. We know the universe has a beginning. We know everything within the universe has a beginning, and then the universe as a whole has a beginning, right? So if you even say that another universe caused this universe, then something that's cause cannot go back to infinitum. There has to be an uncaused cause to cause everything else. So I really want people to ponder about that and if you do come to the conclusion that there has to be an uncaused cause, then it has to come down to, is this uncaused cause, is it sentient? Is it capable of thought? Is it capable of creation? Because something that's unintelligent can bring rise to something that is intelligent. It doesn't make sense. So really ponder. I really want people to ponder about that and think about the fact that, we're here. Everything is intelligently designed. Just look at your DNA. Look at your fingertips. Really ponder about these things and really think about it. And then if you do come to the conclusion that, okay, yes, a higher being has to exist to make everything in such an order, which is so perfect. Like, if you even just look at the universe and look at our solar system, look at our Earth, look at our plants, look at our stars. Everything is so intelligently put in place to the point where it can't be an accident, right? Even just look at mathematics, So if you come to the conclusion that, okay, there has to be something that's intelligent that had to make all of us, right? And then ask yourself this, everything that we see in life has a purpose. Everything, down to the worms in the earth, down to your cells. And if you look at science takes a microscope and looks deep down into your skin. There's little bacteria moving around and pushing things. How could something like that so small have a purpose, but you as a human being with our buildup has no purpose, right? So you have to ask yourself, okay, so if you be like, yeah, you're right, humans have to have a purpose, then you might say, well, Everybody chooses their own purpose. But is that really true, though? Do you see nature decide its own purpose? They have a set purpose and they act upon that purpose. So us to have rationale, to have logical thinking, to have all these faculties that are given to us, and what is it used for? Because as humans, we have to have an objective purpose. Because if purpose was subjective, that means anybody could do anything they want. That means that's why people like Hitler exist, because he chose his own purpose, and his own purpose was to do what he did and cause war and wage wars against people. But we all know internally that is wrong. So if there's no objective reality, if there's no objective purpose, then who are we to say that somebody else is wrong for deciding a certain purpose for themselves? So there has to be a higher being that gives us a purpose, and this objective purpose which all humankind acts upon. So if you agree upon that step, then you have to ask yourself this: would this all-knowing, all-intelligent being leave us without any guidance to find that purpose? Correct? Well, comes to find out that majority of people believe in God, right? Without having to see a scripture or a religion, you can come to the conclusion that a God exists without having a certain religious set beliefs. Okay, so before I was rudely interrupted there. So basically, guys, we could all come to the conclusion that God exists without religion having to be there, because God has instilled all of us with an intuition, right? We all have intuition. We all have had experiences where we felt something, and we all know intuitively that God exists. We all can come to the conclusion that there's no way that something could come from nothing. There's no way that 0 plus 1 equals 2, or 0 plus 0 equals 1. That's impossible. And there's no such thing as nothingness. You can't measure nothingness, because nothingness is 0. So, then you would have to think, okay, so if this creator, he had to give us some form of guidance, correct? So above the intuition that he gave us, he also had to give us some form of guidance to guide that intuition, right? So that means God would have to send messages towards the humans for us to receive guidance. And that's where religion comes in. Now, the story of religion, people think that religion didn't exist. Actually, the first humans were religious people. Religion started off as the belief in God, but then it deviated. People deviated, and people started to make up their own things. People, they'll come and say to you, oh, religion is man-made. No. Religion in itself was something given to us by God, okay? A way of life, the right way of life was given to us by God. People then deviated and strayed on the wrong paths and started to write, with their own hands, prescribing what people should do and what not to do. And that is wrong. That is incorrect. And we don't believe in any man-made religions. Everything goes back to God and what he said for us to do. Now, you may say, oh, how do you find the right religion? How do you come to the conclusion that your religion is correct? Well, you look at the text, you read the text, okay? And you look at the miracles. Like, if I tell you, for instance, this was made in a factory, right? You would analyze it, and I'll tell you the things that's within this that make it seem, makes prove that it was made in a factory. Okay, so if I say something is from God, it can't have any errors. It needs a criteria. So criteria for something from God would be has no errors, there's no contradictions, there's miracles within it, there's proofs within it, there's testimonials. I wouldn't say testimonials, because a testimony could be something that is subjective, and everybody does have a subjective experience with how they come to the religion. But within the text itself, there has to be objectivity with miracles, with no contradictions, with what else could I think of? With things that are in nature that is falsifiable. Things that are falsifiable. If like for example, if I say if what I wrote down here Thursday, if I say Virgilio retired, I'm just showing you Virgilio is retired, okay? If I tell you, if you want to prove me wrong, if I say to prove me wrong, you have to prove that Virgilio is not retired. That's how you prove me wrong, right? So if you go ahead and try to prove that Virgilio is not retired, but he turns out that he is, that's something that you can test. So with the Quran, it gives you a test to falsify it, to make it wrong. But people have failed to falsify the Quran. It's impossible to falsify. It's like a safe. You can't. It's an unlockable safe. You can't. It gives you multiple tests within the Quran to bring chapters like it, to duplicate things like it, and it's impossible. People, or to find a contradiction in it. God gives you tests within the scripture to prove that it's wrong, and people have tried this for more than 1,400 years to do it, and it was impossible to do. So, if you want to inquire more about Islam, the thing about Islam, people come up with the same arguments over and over and over and over and over and over. It's all repeated. It's all repeated arguments that could easily be disputed. So nothing that people bring up nowadays about Islam is something totally brand new. It's not. So that is my message to the non-believers. If you want to inquire more, if you want to learn more about this life, learn the reality about this life, then I suggest you either write in the comments, or if you talk to me directly, you could.